So this guy is in big trouble. No, not this guy. This guy. And it's all thanks to this pop star. Let me explain. Now the pop star, her name's Sabrina Carpenter. You know who that is. And one day, Sabrina needs to shoot a music video for one of her songs. And she and her crew, they want to shoot it at this church in Brooklyn. So they send some producers to scout out the location, and producers get there and they end up talking to this guy, who we'll just call Pastor, because he's the pastor of the church. And Pastor's like, sure, you can shoot your little music video here. And they agree that Sabrina's people will donate $5,000 to the church. So they agree on a date, and later Sabrina and her film crew, they show up and they shoot her music video, and at the end of the shoot, they leave, and the church goes back to normal, and everyone got what they wanted out of the deal, and everyone lives happily ever after. Until sometime later, Sabrina's music video finally drops. And like all of her other music videos, it blows the fuck up, getting over 100 million views on YouTube. Now, in this video, you can see Sabrina dancing around and singing in the church. And supposedly, some of her movements in the video are provocative. But to be honest, that doesn't really look all that provocative to me, but whatever, it's not my church. Regardless, I guess the video somehow makes its way over to the bishop of the church, and the bishop is pissed. And I guess a lot of the church leaders are pissed too, and they're all clutching their pearls like, oh my heavens! And so Bishop goes and he demotes Pastor and strips him of his pastoral duties, partly for giving Sabrina permission to shoot a music video in the church. Then the bishop also has to, I guess, re-bless the church. Like, here's a picture of him throwing holy water all over the place. I guess Sabrina's dancing somehow unblessed it, and so now he has to re-bless it. I don't really know how any of that works, but it all seems very silly. But anyway, here's where the story gets crazy. Because of this Sabrina Carpenter sexy music video fiasco, the church leaders launch an investigation into the pastor, and they start looking into the church's bookkeeping, and they find something really suspicious. Apparently, Pastor, who was in charge of fundraising from 2019 to 2021, he had transferred almost $2 million of church funds to a random law firm and a couple of other companies. And these money transfers were allegedly never approved by the church. So, what is this law firm and these companies that received all this church money? Well, they all seem to be connected to this guy, Frank. And Frank is the former chief of staff for this guy, who we'll call Mayor Eric. Now, Mayor Eric just so happened to be running for mayor of New York City between 2019 and 2021, the same time those $2 million money transfers were made. So it looks like the church was illegally funneling money to the mayor during his mayoral campaign. And so now, boom, the feds gotta get involved, because this seems like a much bigger issue than Sabrina's sinful dancing in the church. And so the feds investigate. They investigate Mayor Eric, they investigate the pastor, and they find that allegedly Mayor Eric had been accepting bribes in exchange for favors. Not only that, he also, allegedly, he had friends of his, like the pastor, loaning out money to companies who would then have their employees make donations to Mayor Eric's campaign, all of which is illegal. And so the feds start accusing Mayor Eric and the pastor of essentially defrauding New York City out of $10 million, all to help him get into office, which he actually did end up getting into office, so this looks really bad for the mayor. And here's actually a picture of Mayor Eric and the pastor and Frank. By the way, here's the mayor there, and there's the pastor, and there's Frank, the former chief of staff. Now, just as Mayor Eric's preparing to run for election again to get reelected, bam, he's formally indicted on 5 federal charges of bribery, fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations. And this story goes public, and it blows up, and it's all over the news. And some of his staff resigns, and city officials who aren't connected to any of the crimes resign. They're like, I want no part of this. And then Mayor Eric's gotta go and get on TV and respond to all this chaos.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on on lies.
And by this point, the people of New York City, they don't like this. They don't like Mayor Eric anymore. He seems shady. And they're like, dude, you're corrupt. You gotta step down. And even members of his own political party start calling on him to resign.
It would be best for Mayor Adams to step
Leader
aside.
Jeffries.
But Mayor Eric sees all this pushback and he's just like, nah, bro. And he stays in office and he continues to be mayor. Not only that, he's currently in the process of running for re-election, so he is definitely not backing down. Meanwhile, Sabrina Carpenter's over here and she's laughing about the whole thing.
Should we talk about how I got the mayor indicted, or?
Now, we're gonna pause this story for a second because I need to talk about this guy again, Luigi. Now, if you've already forgotten about Luigi because we all have TikTok brain, here's a quick recap. Luigi is the guy who allegedly became disillusioned with the US healthcare system. Then he allegedly got so angry that he traveled to New York City and unalived a healthcare CEO outside of a hotel with a 3D printed pew-pew. He then allegedly fled from New York City to Pennsylvania and boom, he got arrested a few days later in a McDonald's when a McDonald's employee ratted him out. Now he's sitting in jail waiting on his trial. So all that happened, and kaboom, Luigi's case blows up. And it's all over the news, the whole country's talking about it. Now, apparently, Mayor Eric sees this Luigi case, and I guess he sees it as an opportunity for like a photo op for himself, even though he's under indictment himself and is potentially a criminal himself. He wants to make himself look good by making an example of Luigi. Now, Luigi is scheduled to be extradited from Pennsylvania to New York where his alleged crime occurred. And for this extradition, Mayor Eric orchestrates this insanely unnecessary perp walk for him, with like 1 million law enforcement all surrounding Luigi. I mean, you can see this ridiculous show here. And in this perp walk, Mayor puts himself right in the middle of it, because of course he does. So not only do you not need this comically large group of cops to escort this one guy, but why do you need the city's frickin' mayor to be part of a police entourage during a perp walk? It makes no sense. My opinion? It's because the mayor wants the photo op. He wants to make himself look like he did something. And maybe it's to distract people from all of his alleged fraud and taking bribes. I don't know. Regardless, people see this and they get pissed off at him. And they start calling him out. Even Luigi's lawyer calls him out in a hearing.
To have all of these press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference? Your Honor, that just made it utterly political. And frankly, Your Honor, the mayor should know more than anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when he dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione.
Anyway, Mayor Eric's corruption trial is this year, and